Recently, I have been facing the reality that I will never truly excel in anything. Sports, music, career, money, and so on. I am firmly average in almost every aspect of life. Growing up, I thought I would end up being great at something. I just had not figured out what yet. Nowadays, I am in the acceptance phase, but it is quite painful. Any advice? Story 1. I went through the same situation, but I have made peace with it. I am starting to realize that there are many beautiful things in life other than fame and money. I would rather have a loving family, wife, and children, and live a normal, average life than chase a highly competitive and risky life that may or may not lead to success. Even if it does, it is probably not worth it. Story 2. Average is just a perspective. You are better than some people at certain things and worse than others at different things. That is what helps me get by. Story 3. Comparison is the thief of joy. The only thing that matters is whether you are becoming a better person than you were the day before. In fact, I would not even call it becoming better. It is more about being aligned with who you truly are, your core beliefs, living your life in truth, and not caring about what others think of you. At the end of the day, we all are going to die. So why or what does it matter if you have more money, success, goals, ambitions, places you have visited, or mountains and obstacles you have climbed to reach your so-called position in life? Honestly, who cares? I think it is foolish for people to believe that success is what we should all be striving for. To me, you are absolutely average if you define yourself by those metrics. That is what the majority of people do, and that is what being average is all about. Stop following the majority and start listening to your inner voice and heart. Would you listen to my advice? Probably not, and that is why you are unhappy, unsatisfied, and quite frankly, average. Story 4. Almost everyone is average. I do not compare myself to others. I compare myself to my earlier self. If I am doing better than in the past, I am doing something right. Story 5. Being great does not mean being better than everyone else. Great people make the world a better place, and there are no quotas for how many great people there are. Every person can make a positive impact in the lives of those around them in a way that nobody else can. Story 6. I just like to look at it as a less pressured existence. Many people feel pressure to excel at something or to make something of themselves. But not us. We get to live life how we see fit. No pressure to succeed, provide, or be there for someone. We can enjoy our own successes without feeling guilty for not doing better. It can be isolating at times, but I get a morbid sense of peace from the lack of pressure and expectation. Story 7. I was kicked out at 17. I was fine at the time because I thought I had a good job and $10,000 in the bank. I worked through high school and saved diligently. I got an apartment, a used car, and started community college intending to be a teacher. Things were great. Then one Monday I got a call from the bank. My account was severely overdraft. I had deposited a paycheck on Friday, drove down, and paid my next semester tuition with a check, paid for books with a check, and bought a tank of gas and a pack of cigarettes on my debit card. The paycheck bounced, but the bank had allowed everything else to go through. The check would have kept my checking account with enough money to survive. But because of the bounced check and overdraft fees, the situation escalated. That $6 pack of cigarettes resulted in about a $30 overdraft fee for the transaction. I went to my boss and they said they would fix it, claiming it was a clerical error. Long story short, it was not. They were going broke. They helped me cover the debt then, but the next check bounced and the next. I was too young and inexperienced to take legal action, and I liked them enough that it did not feel right. I tried finding another job while maintaining school, but then the car broke down, and everything slowly went downhill. I ended up homeless, working 2 jobs just trying to get by at 19. I am almost 40 now. I have a boring desk job, own a house, have a wife, 2 kids, and 2 dogs. I am never going to be a teacher, a rock star, or on television. But I will never spend another night homeless, and average is better than that. Others have said perspective helps, but as someone who has experienced some pretty rough lows, let me tell you, if you find yourself average, count yourself lucky. Story 8. The interesting thing is that most of the very wealthy people are quite average when it comes to intellect. The key difference is their willingness to take risks. The owner of My Pillow had a $300 million business. Think about that. $300 million, and all he did was sell pillows filled with shredded memory foam. Anyone could do that. That person actually took a chance and succeeded. However, he lost much of his fortune by believing a career fraudster and lifelong narcissist, which led to him losing millions and defaming people and companies while clinging to his claims. Story 9. I do not know, man. I am just not here to be the best at anything, to be completely honest. I thought I had to be for a long time, so I understand where you are coming from. Life is all kinds of weird, but one thing that is true for everyone is that it just happens until it does not. Until it does not, I want to use as much time as possible to experience and understand as much as I can. I just want to be the best at living my own life now. If that is average in the eyes of others, I could not care less. Story 10. There is nothing wrong with being average. You are better than half the people on the planet. You can still change the world in meaningful ways. Not everyone needs the spotlight, and half the people who have it do not actually deserve it. Story 11. It was honestly kind of reassuring. I am clearly capable enough to get by, and there is no pressure on me to be the best at anything. I realized that making enough to retire comfortably and having a family that loves me is a fine life goal. It lets me focus on the things I like. Story 12. There will always be someone better than you at something. The point is not to be the best. It is to enjoy doing what you do. Story 13. I could not tell you why, but I have always refused to be average. If I find something I like, I become obsessive about it until I feel I am at least slightly above average at that thing. Story 14. I have been told all my life by most people around me that I am nothing special, stupid, and a loser. This has never been a fact I have struggled with. Story 15. I tend to focus on things I am better at than most people and exploit that without thinking about all the ways I am not as good as others. Story 16. I come to terms with being average by knowing I cannot be extraordinary all the time in my day-to-day life, and that is not healthy. I also make sure the people I compare myself with are also extraordinary individuals who have been average as well and feel worse than I do at times. Being average is a very gray area. For example, if I come across a beggar while traveling to work and am worrying about achieving success or solving a problem, I suddenly feel grateful that I did not have a childhood of going car to car begging, being treated badly, or experiencing complex childhood traumas. This makes me think that what makes us average is vague, very subjective, and an illusion related to our state of mind. Story 17. I may be average in all the measurable ways: income, assets, accomplishments. But to my family and friends, I am irreplaceable. Story 18. Check out whoopmylife.org. Set realistic personal goals and work toward them daily while keeping track of your efforts in a diary. When discouraged, look back at what you have done so far. Rice book, Who Am I? On Amazon will help you figure out what sort of partner you should pursue. Gottman.com will teach you how to stay married for good. Story 19. Being truly great at something takes talent and an absolutely obsessive level of dedication. Most serious marathon runners peak at 70 miles per week. Most of them also will not qualify for the Boston Marathon. Some elite runners will double that at their peak. The difference between really good and great is literally twice the effort. The trick is to find something to which you can and want to devote more time and effort than the vast majority of people. You still may not reach greatness, but you are almost guaranteed to end up far better than average. Story 20. Average in what? That is the question. You can say everything because you do not know how good you are at something you have never tried. Are you talking about looks, build, weight, physical appearance, height, worrying about those unhelpful online videos? Money, which takes time to earn. Love, relationships, family, because in the end, that is how great a life is judged. Story 21. I did not optimize my life. Everyone has the same number of minutes in a day. Some people spend less time on tasks like washing dishes or earning money to pay rent, which is an advantage. Today, even if you are exceptionally talented at something, to be the best you have to commit all of your time to it, so you can outperform others who are also talented. I stopped trying to be the best at any one thing. I try to be a jack of all trades, master of none, yet always more valuable than a master of one. Story 22. Average effort is focused. Most people do not put in the real effort required to reach the next level. My approach is to overcompensate for being average by working extremely hard to learn new skills, attempting to hide my ordinary level from others. Even while still feeling average, you can become better than many people at that skill. Others often assume you have natural talent, but it is actually sheer determination and obsessive hard work. Story 23. It is not so bad. I have accepted that it is my karma in this life that nothing comes to me easily. I try to enjoy the journey, and I try as much as possible not to compare myself to others and find joy in their success. In the end, you are really only competing with the other, less awesome versions of you. Story 24. Accept that you are actually below average. You need to try much harder to become average. Spend a few years like that, then accept that you are average and you will be glad for it. Story 25. Everyone is average in most things. Pick any remarkable person you can think of. They are average in more categories than they are remarkable. They stand out because they are great at a few things. Story 26. Just because you are average right now does not mean you will always be. Feel sorry for yourself for a little while. Feeling sorry for myself is a guilty pleasure of mine. But then try harder and you will get ahead of the pack. Story 27. For me, it's when I accepted that there is nothing wrong with being average. As long as you have a fulfilling life, it does not really matter if you are average. I have a home, family, my needs are met, and I generally do not have a desire for luxury items, so I feel pretty fulfilled even though people may call me average. If you are average right now but do not wish to be, then you should change that. Pick something you are passionate about and stick to it. You will find that eventually, if you keep at it, you will be excellent at something. The main difference will probably be the time it takes you to get there. Story 28. Being great at something takes dedication and years of consistent, meaningful, and targeted training. The difference between a hobbyist and a true master is not only the hours put in. The old adage of "it takes 10,000 hours to master a thing" is misleading and needs a slight correction to reflect reality. It takes 10,000 hours of proficient training to master a thing. Most people who truly excel at something have been focusing on that single thing for decades. I find too many things interesting to really focus on one thing that much, so I have had to come to terms with the reality that I will never become a master of anything. I will become okay at most of the things I put my mind to, given enough time. The good thing is that you do not need to become the best to enjoy things. Story 29. If you live in a developed country with access to broadband internet and are actively socializing on Reddit with free time because you have enough money not to worry about food or shelter, you are not average. You are probably among the 0.01% most comfortable humans ever to exist in the history of planet Earth. I know what you are saying, but this is my version of have some gratitude anyway. Story 30. Yes, that is a kind of toxic way to think about it in my opinion. Why would you have to be great at anything to have any sort of value? You have value because you are you. Story 31. Being okay at many things is often a more valuable and more sustainable skill set than being excellent at one thing. Story 32. I would say that I am the same as you. What I have actually found is that later in life, it has helped me a lot compared to people who excelled at one thing that did not lead to success. The elite athletes I grew up with who were not elite enough to make it ended up lost and struggling. I am still working on finding my thing, but I have found success in a couple of different industries now. Honestly, it allows me not to get too tied into something and miss opportunities because I was doing my thing. If you are average, you probably have some marketable skills that others do not. They may not make you an influencer or be hugely publicly noticeable, but figure out the things you are above average at and leverage those. I will give you an example. Thanks to my parents, I am pretty good at navigating office politics, definitely better than a lot of people. It has led to multiple promotions and pay raises. It is not flashy, but it has helped. Story 33. What else can you do? By definition, most of us are going to be average or very close. It seems pointless to complain about something like that. Story 34. Since most people are average, it should be fairly easy to accept that for yourself. If you want to be exceptional, you have to focus on whatever strengths you have. Let me tell you, everyone has strengths. If you don't see any in yourself, don't be afraid to ask other people what they think your strengths are. Story 35. Ask yourself why you need to excel. Is life a competition? Can you find satisfaction and contentment by doing things to the best of your ability? Should I be happy that I beat my own swim lap time every month or year? Or should I be sad that I am not Michael Phelps? A lot of this is about how to frame your mindset. Story 36. Sometimes it feels bad, but then I remember that just by being born in a developed country, I am much luckier than most of the world. This realization did not hit me until I went to a country where software engineers earn only about $800 a month. That experience showed me how much spending power I have and how well off I am. I also believe that living to 80 or 90 years old in mostly good health, without too many terrible events in life, is a worthy goal. That is not average. It is well above average. Story 37. Once I stopped valuing how I am perceived by others, life became a lot better. I may never be in a top 10 list. Cool, I am like 3.5 billion other people. Suffering because I am not exceptional seems like a curse and would mean suffering for 99% of people. What a terrible way to view the world. Make peace in your soul and mind. When you lay your head down at night, you should be able to feel gratitude. Value that more than being above average. Story 38. Average is fine. The problem is, it's often conflated with boring or bad. There is nothing boring or bad about just being a normal person today. I assume you are living in some semi-developed country. Congratulations, you did not die from a childhood disease or infection. That would have been pretty normal in the past. You can go to the grocery store and buy the kinds of foods that royalty only dreamed of, that nations killed each other over. That is pretty amazing. Nothing average about that, from a historical perspective. You can hop into a speed machine to carry you hundreds of miles away to see a beautiful view or vista that would have taken your ancestors days of travel and so much risk. They probably would never have done it. You are probably taller, stronger, and better looking than most, if not all, of your ancestors. You have all of the world's accumulated knowledge at your fingertips, and you can learn real, true things just about any time you want. That is incredible. Things that about 90% of humans that ever existed could not even dream about, and you can just look it up. Oh, and you can do that because you are literate. That is very cool. My point is that to every single one of your ancestors, you are living a crazy, wild, blessed life, and you are doing and capable of doing awesome things. You are Superman to them. Do not waste that. Who cares if you are average? Go take your average self, get in your average car, drive the average speed, and go somewhere and do something awesome. Because you can just do that if you choose. It is amazing. Story 39. Virtually everyone on Earth is basically average, with one or two non-average traits in the mix. Coming to terms with being average is the same as coming to terms with being alive. Everyone is basically average. There are a few people who are outliers, but making everyone feel bad about themselves for not being 1% outliers is both pointless and cruel. You are average. So am I. So is everyone you know. So is everyone you will ever know. It is okay to be average. It is nothing to feel bad about. Find the one or two things that you are not average in and lean into them. That is how you carve out a little bit of success as an average person. Story 40. Refuse mediocrity. You do not have to be the best to be above average. A jack of many trades, master of none, automatically makes you above average. Story 41. If you are in pain because of this, then you may be feeling the pain of leaving undone something you are supposed to do. Find out what that is and do it. If you fail at actually doing that thing you are supposed to do, then just accept it and give yourself a break. But if you fail to even try to discover what is so important to do that you experience pain for leaving it undone, what can help you then? Story 42. Most people realize they are not actually a very special boy long before adulthood. Were you the big fish in a small pond your whole life? Story 43. Solipsism. I am not average. I am the only one here. That is just how my experience is programmed. Perhaps the creators running this simulation are interested in the effects of my few personality traits where I stand out somewhat and have averaged my other attributes for experimental control. Story 44. I firmly believe everyone has a skill that they are great at. I will not say everyone is number one, but you can find something to be in the top 10% with enough effort. It just depends on who you are. Story 45. You could be upset about it, I suppose. The idea that there is an average percentile of the population into which you fit for all these predetermined categories is just a mental prison you have placed on yourself. Story 46. I do not settle for being average. I am always looking to improve in areas where I can better myself. Story 47. You can excel in many areas if you stay focused and consistently work to improve your skills. Story 48. You are great at being alive. If you were not, this post would not exist. That has to count for something, right? People are better than you and me at many things, but that does not mean we are not better than them at anything. Even if you feel average at everything now, I am sure you will flourish at something. Maybe you have not found it yet. I do not know your age or circumstances, but we all have areas in which we are stronger than those around us. And if you are not, it does not make you any less of a person or mean you cannot enjoy the beauty in life. Story 49. 1. If there is an average, that means there are people below you. While I absolutely do not encourage looking down on others, remember that you are not the worst at everything. If you are firmly average, that gives you a strong foundation in whatever career or life aspect you choose. Embrace your jack of all trades, master of none side, and take pride in that where you can. I would love to not be last in every tennis tournament. Let the aspects you can always control, such as mentality, be your defining factor. No one is born with predefined, unchanging skills. Time and effort turn talents or lack thereof into results. Michael Jordan and LeBron James turned their passions and talents into generational skills, but they were not born ready to set NBA records. If you want to improve at anything, unless you have a major disability or significant handicap, there will be room to improve. Even among wheelchair rugby players, there are average players, great players, and less skilled players. Let your passion and desire to not just be average fuel your effort in whatever you want to pursue. Can you truly say you are average in everything? There are tens of mainline sports and many more if you delve deeper. Creative arts, electronic artistry, software development, management. There are hundreds of different fields, hobbies, and passions that I do not even know where to start. Do not define yourself as eternally average because you have not found your spot yet. Story 50. Honestly, if you can just put one foot in front of the other, remaining cautiously optimistic, you can get yourself to a situation in which you perceive yourself as much better than average. I am talking about financial security more than anything else. The more of a nest egg you build up, the less you will think about not being a superstar. I suggest that you try to avoid as many unwise financial decisions as possible. Do not buy expensive cars. Do not change cars every 2 to 3 years. Keep a car for at least a decade at a time. My daily driver is a 2009 Honda Odyssey that I love. Contribute a portion of every paycheck to a retirement plan. If your plan allows automatic increases, set it to increase your contributions by 1% every year. If possible, try never to miss a paycheck. I am not naive. I have been fired twice and laid off twice. However, the more stable your income, the fewer financial problems you will have later on. Work a second job for a while if needed. Consider getting a roommate if you are single. If you do not own a house, scrimp and save toward a down payment. I can see retirement on the distant horizon. If I can just keep working at my current job for a few more years, I will be set for a very comfortable retirement. That makes me feel well above average. Story 51. You do not have to be the best musician or basketball player. Focus on being the best at finding happiness for yourself. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.